Hello and welcome back. You are listening to English Unlocked, a calm English podcast where we learn through listening, stories, and real-life language. My name is Daniel, and I'm really glad you're here with me today. This podcast was created for people who want to improve their English without stress, without pressure, and without fear of making mistakes. Here, English is not something you have to fight with. It's something you slowly get used to. Today's episode is special. It's a New Year episode. The New Year often feels like a big moment. People talk about goals, plans, resolutions, and change. There is a lot of noise, a lot of expectations, and sometimes a lot of pressure. But this podcast is different. Today we're not rushing anywhere. We're not trying to be better, faster, or perfect. We are simply listening. You can listen to this episode while sitting quietly, walking outside, cooking, or resting after a long day. You don't need to understand every single word. You don't need to repeat anything out loud unless you want to. Just listen. Listening is powerful. When you listen regularly, your brain starts to recognize patterns. Words become familiar. Sentences begin to feel natural. And little by little, English stops feeling foreign. This is why English Unlocked is a podcast, not a traditional lesson. It's about atmosphere. It's about feeling safe with the language. It's about giving yourself time. In today's episode, you will hear a New Year story told slowly and clearly. The story will be divided into several parts so you can listen comfortably and stay focused. This story is not about big fireworks or loud celebrations. It's about quiet moments, about reflection, about the feeling of standing between the old year and the new one. So before we begin, take a moment for yourself. Take a deep breath. Relax your shoulders. Let go of the day behind you. You are here now. You are listening. And that is already enough. Let's begin. Before the story truly begins, let's slow down a little more. The new year is a moment that exists between two worlds. The year that is ending, and the year that has not yet begun. It's a quiet space in time. Many people don't notice it because they are busy celebrating, planning, or worrying. But if you stop for just a moment, you can feel it. That pause, that silence. This episode is built around that feeling. You don't need to imagine anything complicated. Just picture a calm evening. The kind of evening where the outside world feels softer and slower. Maybe it's winter where you are. Maybe it's cold outside. Or maybe it's just quiet. The lights are gentle. The room feels warm. There is no rush, no schedule, no pressure. This is the perfect moment to listen. In English Unlocked, we believe that stories help language feel human. When you listen to a story, you are not studying English. You are experiencing it. And experience is how language stays with you. As you listen, some words will be familiar. Some will be new. That's perfectly normal. You don't need to stop or rewind. You don't need to translate everything in your head. Your brain is doing more than you realize. It is connecting sounds. It is recognizing rhythm. It is learning without effort. The story you are about to hear is simple, but meaningful. It's not about something dramatic or extraordinary. It's about a moment that many people experience at the end of the year, but rarely talk about. A moment of looking back. A moment of noticing how far you've come. A moment of quiet hope. This is a listening practice, but it's also a pause. A chance to be present. A chance to be kind to yourself. So once again, take a slow breath. There is nothing you need to do right now. Just listen. In the next part, the story will begin. The story begins on the very last evening of the year. Outside, the city is slowly preparing for celebration. Lights glow in windows. Cars move a little faster than usual. Somewhere in the distance, you can already hear laughter and music. But inside a small apartment on a quiet street, everything feels different. Alex is standing by the window holding a warm cup of tea in both hands. The glass is slightly foggy from the heat. Outside, tiny lights from nearby buildings reflect softly on the dark sky. It's not cold inside. It's not noisy either. It's calm. Alex didn't make big plans for tonight. No party. No crowded places. Just a quiet evening alone. At first, this decision felt strange, almost uncomfortable. Everyone talks about New Year's Eve as something loud and exciting. But this year, Alex wanted something else. Space. Time. Silence. The room is simple but cozy. A small table near the sofa. A soft lamp in the corner. A notebook lying closed on the table, untouched for now. Alex takes a slow sip of tea and watches the lights outside blink on and off. There is a familiar feeling in the chest. Not sadness, not happiness, something in between. Reflection. The last year wasn't easy. There were good moments, of course. But there were also tired days, difficult decisions, quiet doubts that appeared late at night. Alex thinks about all the times when things didn't go as planned. The moments that felt like failures. The days that passed too quickly. And yet, there were small victories too. Moments that didn't seem important at the time, but now feel meaningful.
Learning something new.
Letting go of something old. Choosing rest instead of pressure. Alex breathes out slowly. The city outside feels busy, but inside this room, time seems to slow down. Almost as if the year itself is pausing, waiting to be released. Alex walks over to the table and sits down. The chair makes a quiet sound against the floor. The notebook is still there. For a long moment, Alex just looks at it. Writing was never easy. Putting thoughts into words felt risky somehow, like opening a door that might be hard to close again. But tonight feels different. This night doesn't ask for perfection. It doesn't demand promises or resolutions. It simply offers a moment to be honest. Alex opened the notebook. The first page is blank. The pen feels warm in the hand. There is no rush. No correct sentence to write. After a pause, Alex writes one simple line. I'm still here. The words look small on the page, almost quiet, but they feel true. Alex leans back in the chair and listens. Outside, someone laughs. A door closes somewhere in the building. The city breathes. Inside, something settles. This is not the end of the year yet, but it feels like the beginning of something gentle, something slow, something real. And as the clock continues to move forward, the story of this new year quietly unfolds. Alex sits quietly for a while, the open notebook resting on the table. The single sentence on the page feels heavier than expected, not in a bad way, but in a meaningful one. I'm still here. It sounds simple, but the longer Alex looks at it, the more it opens. Being here meant surviving days that felt endless. It meant getting up even when motivation was low. It meant continuing even without clear direction. Alex remembers the beginning of the year, the plans, the energy, the expectations. Back then, everything felt possible. There were lists, ideas, promises made quietly to oneself. Some of them happened. Many didn't. There were moments when Alex felt proud. Finishing something that once felt impossible. Speaking up when silence felt easier. Choosing rest over proving something to others. And there were moments of disappointment, too. Missed chances, conversations that didn't go as hoped, days when confidence disappeared without explanation. Alex turns another page in the notebook. This time, the pen moves a little faster. I learned more than I expected. That feels true. Learning didn't always look impressive. Sometimes it was simply learning patience. Sometimes it was learning to say no. Sometimes it was learning that progress can be quiet. Outside, the city grows louder. Fireworks crack in the distance. Not close, not overwhelming, just reminders that time is moving forward. Alex pauses and listens. There is something comforting about knowing that this moment exists everywhere, in different cities, in different homes, in different languages. People everywhere are standing between years, feeling similar emotions, reflection, uncertainty, quiet hope. Alex adds another line to the page. I don't need to have everything figured out. The words feel like relief. For so long, Alex believed that the new year had to begin with answers. Clear goals, strong confidence, big change. But tonight doesn't ask for that. Tonight only asks for honesty. Alex leans back and closes their eyes for a moment. The sounds of the city blend together. Voices, distant music, fireworks echoing softly in the air. Inside the apartment, everything remains calm. Alex realizes something important. The past year didn't define everything. It shaped parts of life, yes, but it didn't take away the ability to begin again, gently. The notebook remains open. There are still blank pages, and instead of feeling pressure, Alex feels possibility. Not the loud, overwhelming kind, but the quiet kind. The kind that says, you can move forward slowly. You can choose differently. You can be kind to yourself. Alex writes one more sentence carefully. I want the next year to feel lighter. The pen stops. The sentence doesn't promise success. It doesn't demand change. It simply expresses a wish, and sometimes that is enough. Alex closes the notebook gently and places it back on the table. Outside, the countdown hasn't started yet. There is still time. The old year hasn't ended. The new one hasn't begun. And in this quiet space between them, Alex sits peacefully, breathing, listening, and allowing the moment to be exactly what it is. The room grows a little darker as the evening slowly turns into night. Alex switches off the main light and leaves only the small lamp in the corner on. Its warm glow fills the room gently, creating soft shadows on the walls. The clock on the wall keeps moving, steady, quiet, patient. Outside, the sounds of the city become clearer now. More voices, more laughter, more music drifting through open windows somewhere nearby. Midnight is getting closer. Alex stands up and stretches, feeling the body relax in a way it hasn't all day. There is no rush to do anything, no pressure to prepare, just waiting. Alex pours another cup of tea and sits back down, this time closer to the window. From here, the city looks different. Not busy, but just alive. Small groups of people walk by on the street below, bundled in coats and scarves. Some stop to talk. Some laugh loudly. Some walk quietly, lost in their own thoughts. Alex wonders how many of them feel the same quiet mix of emotions. Excitement, uncertainty, hope, a little sadness. The new year has a strange way of doing that, bringing everything to the surface at once. Alex thinks about the version of themselves from 1 year ago, standing at another beginning, hoping, worrying, trying to be ready. There is compassion now for that person, less judgment, more understanding. The clock ticks on. 10 minutes left. Alex takes a deep breath and places one hand on the chest, feeling the steady rhythm of the heart. Still here, still moving, still learning. The notebook is still on the table. Alex opens it one last time tonight and looks at the pages already filled. There aren't many words, but the words that are there feel honest. Instead of writing more, Alex simply reads them again. I'm still here. I learned more than I expected. I don't need to have everything figured out. I want the next year to feel lighter. Each sentence feels like a quiet companion. Outside, the countdown begins somewhere far away. A distant voice counting numbers. Echoes bouncing between buildings. Alex doesn't join in. Not yet. 5, 4. Alex looks around the room one more time. This small space that held a full year of life. This quiet evening that allowed reflection without noise. 3, 2. Alex closes the notebook gently. 1. Fireworks explode in the distance, not all at once, but in waves. Light flashes across the sky, reflected faintly in the window. It's midnight. The new year has arrived. Alex doesn't cheer, doesn't clap, doesn't rush. Instead, there is a soft smile. The year has changed. But Alex remains the same person, just a little softer, a little kinder, a little more present. Outside, the city celebrates. Inside, there is peace. And in this calm moment, Alex understands something clearly. The new year doesn't need to begin loudly. It can begin quietly, with a breath, with a thought, with a gentle decision to move forward, slowly, honestly, and with care. Morning arrives slowly, not with noise, not with urgency, but gently, through soft light filtering into the room. Alex opens their eyes and lies still for a moment, listening. The city sounds are different now, quieter, calmer. The celebration has passed. The fireworks are gone. What remains is a soft, ordinary morning, and something about that feels comforting. Alex sits up and stretches, feeling a quiet sense of clarity. There is no dramatic shift, no sudden transformation. Just a subtle difference in the air. The new year has begun. Alex walks to the window and looks outside. The street below is almost empty. A thin layer of frost covers the ground, reflecting the pale morning light. Someone walks a dog slowly, hands tucked deep into pockets. Life continues, calmly, naturally. In the kitchen, Alex prepares a simple breakfast. Nothing special, just something warm. As the kettle boils, Alex notices a small but important feeling. There is no rush to define the year yet. No need to decide who to become. No need to promise anything. The notebook from the night before is still on the table. Alex sits down and opens it again. The pages feel different in the morning light. Less heavy. More open. Alex turns to a new page. This time the pen moves without hesitation. Today I'll start gently. The sentence feels right. It doesn't promise success. It doesn't demand change. It simply sets a tone. Alex closes the notebook and places it back on the table, knowing it will be there whenever needed. Not as a rule book, but as a place to return to. Outside, the city begins to wake up. Shops open slowly. Cars appear again. Voices return. The world is moving forward. Alex finishes breakfast and takes one last look around the apartment. This space that held reflection. This night that allowed honesty. This morning that feels like a quiet continuation, not a restart. Before leaving the room, Alex pauses, just for a second, and takes a deep breath. The year ahead is unknown. There will be challenges. There will be good days and difficult ones. But there will also be moments like this, moments of stillness, moments of clarity, moments where it's enough to simply be here. Alex steps into the day without urgency, without pressure, carrying something subtle but important, a sense of trust. Trust that growth doesn't need to be loud. Trust that beginnings can be gentle. Trust that moving forward slowly is still moving forward. And as the door closes behind them, the story settles into a quiet truth. The new year has begun, not with noise, not with promises, but with presence. And now, my friends, as this New Year story comes to a close, I want to invite you to stay with this moment just a little longer. You don't need to rush back into your day yet. You don't need to think about plans, goals, or what comes next. Just notice how you feel right now. Stories like this are not meant to change everything at once. They are meant to create space. Space to breathe. Space to reflect. Space to listen not only to English, but to yourself. Alex's story is simple but familiar. Because many of us have stood at the edge of a new year feeling unsure, tired, hopeful, or quietly curious about what's ahead. Not everything needs to be clear. Not everything needs to be decided. Sometimes the most important thing is allowing a beginning to be gentle. If you are learning English, you already know that progress doesn't always look dramatic. It happens quietly. When words start to feel familiar, when listening becomes easier, when your confidence grows without you noticing it right away. That's exactly how real growth works. In language and in life. By listening to this story, you practiced something powerful. You stayed present. You followed a narrative. You allowed English to exist around you without pressure. That matters. At English Unlocked, this is what we believe in. Learning that feels human, calm, and supportive. Learning that fits into your life instead of demanding more from you. As this episode ends, I want you to take one more slow breath. Inhale, exhale. The new year does not need you to be perfect. It doesn't need you to be faster or stronger than you are right now. It simply invites you to continue, one step at a time, one lesson at a time, one quiet moment at a time. If this episode brought you a sense of calm, clarity, or comfort, I'm really glad you were here. And if you want more stories like this, more slow English, more listening practice, more gentle moments, you're always welcome to come back. Thank you for listening. Thank you for learning. Thank you for giving yourself this time. Until the next episode, take care of yourself. Trust your pace. And remember, a quiet beginning is still a beginning. Happy New Year, my friend.